During the Pacific War, the Marianas emerged as one of the primary targets for the Allies in 1944. It was there that Japanese troops occupied the islands of Guam, Tinian, and Saipan. During the Marianas Campaign, they would become the next battlefields, with hundreds of thousands of Japanese and U.S. troops sent to the Marianas in June, July, and August. Among the first targets was Saipan. At Saipan there was already a Japanese airfield, and so it was good position for Allied airfields that could provide air support for further operations in the Pacific and expand the range of U.S. bombing missions. As such, the USA sent approximately 70,000 Marines to take Saipan and defeat the 30,000 Japanese troops stationed there. Before the Marines landed, U.S. aircraft and warships bombarded Saipan from the air and sea. U.S. aircraft targeted Japanese aircraft on the ground. They wiped out hundreds of Japanese planes. However, the naval bombardment was not so effective as the battleships were some way away from their targets. Consequently, most of the Japanese gun emplacements remained largely intact. The U.S. Navy was also busy. During the Battle of the Philippine Sea, Japan sent a fleet of aircraft carriers to Saipan to defeat Task Force 58 and halt the Allied advance in the Marianas. In actual fact, U.S. F-6F aircraft dominated the battle as they wiped out hundreds of Japanese planes on the ground and in the air. The loss of Japanese aircraft carriers during the battle ensured the withdrawal of the IJN fleet. After the bombardment, the ground campaign began in earnest. Thousands of U.S. troops landed along Saipan's beaches, along with supporting amphibious tanks. U.S. aircraft also bombed Japanese positions on the ground. After securing the beachheads, further U.S. Army reinforcements arrived in Saipan to bolster the Marines, along with additional supplies. The Marines had a few targets at Saipan. Among them was Mount Ipopale, that was soon taken. Another target was the Japanese Islito airfield. As such, the 27th Infantry Division stormed this airfield as the Americans advanced further into Saipan. Another of the targets was Mount Tipashaw. Mount Tipashaw was a 1,554-foot mountain that the Japanese troops retreated to. The Americans sent in 3 divisions to clear the mountain, but weeks were still required to take Mount Tipashaw. U.S. tanks and artillery had little impact at Mount Tipashaw, and there was little air support for the Marines. Nevertheless, the Japanese troops could still not hold the mountain. After the fall of Mount Tipashaw, the Battle of Saipan gradually came to a close. The Americans advanced further northwards and wiped out the remaining Japanese troops. The battle was effectively over when they reached the northern end of Saipan. The Allies had won D-Day in the Pacific War. The fall of Saipan was the first victory in the Marianas and left the door open for further advances at Guam and Tinian. With Japan's empire crumbling, Tojo resigned after the battle. However, despite this, Japan did not surrender, and the Pacific War continued into 1945.